you said, in maybe late December 2013 is when you joined Light the Torch, previously known as The Devil You Know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So obviously, now it's a metal supergroup. I mean, you're joining the likes of is it Francesco or Francesco? Of previously of All Shall Perish, Howard Jones of Killswitch Engage and Blood Has Been Shed. Now it's like, okay, let's put this together. This is crazy. How did it come about you joining the band?
I was up in Big Bear on a hunting trip with a friend of mine, and we had just rolled into town. We'd been out for like a couple days. We were camping, and we came back into downtown and got phone service. And my phone was like a couple texts, a couple phone calls, and a missed email or a missed voicemail. So, okay, and check the message, and it's Mike Gitter, who used to work for Metal Blade, and then he was managing the band at the time. And I had met him just over the years of touring and with other bands that we had toured with, and so we knew each other. And he'd gotten my phone number, and it was basically like, hey, what's up? It's Gitter. Heard that Bleeding Through is on the outs. Like, people were catching wind that we were, like, going to be done.
They must have read on Wikipedia.
Yeah, and seriously. And he basically said, like, hey, I've got an opportunity for you. Why don't you give me a call back? So I called him, and it was literally just like I was just interested to see what the option was. I really wasn't sure if I wanted to tour anymore. And told me what it was, and they couldn't give me a whole bunch of information. I told him I was interested, but I needed to know more, and told him what I was up to. So I'm like, give me a call this weekend. He called me, and I talked to the drummer at the time, and we got like an audition pretty much, but they couldn't release any of the music. Wow. So I had to basically, they needed a bass player that could sing backups. So they were purposely looking for a bass player that could sing, so it wasn't just any bass player. They called a handful of people, and someone that knew someone gave my phone number to Gitter. He called me and set it up, talked to the drummer. But yeah, I just went into a studio in LA and went to like a lockout rehearsal and met the guys for the first time, and it was the drummer and the guitar player at the time, and super fucking awkward. And it was like, all right, here's a song that you don't know. Learn this riff, and here's the melody that goes over it, and give it a shot. And obviously they're aware, like, you gotta practice. So I'm like, all right, let's get awkward.
Yeah, it
was fucking awkward, but it was cool.
That's great.
I got my point across. I really didn't think I was gonna get the gig. It was kind of, they asked me, so how do you feel about touring? And I'm like, well, we've had a bad crash. We've crashed a few times, and I don't like touring in the wintertime. And I don't do vans anymore. Like, we did our fair share of touring in a van. I'll do bandwagons and tour buses, but since then we've done every fucking vehicle under the sun. But that was that. Left, and didn't hear back for like a month, and then got a phone call and said I got the gig, and straight to Australia.
Wow.
To go do Soundwave Festival. So that was really cool. We were playing directly under Avenged Sevenfold, second to last on the whole fucking festival, and no one knew who the hell we were. Didn't even have a record out. We had one single out, and it was the demo version of the single.
Oh my god.
So that was an interesting ride.
That's crazy.
Came home from that and had a month off, and we had some rehearsals, and then we went straight on a tour with Black Label Society and Down and Butcher Babies.
That's crazy, man. I didn't even think about it. Like, dude, I got into like a car accident like 5 years ago or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting on the freeway and someone crashes into me. Like, just for a minute, like, just I'm chilling and then someone bangs into me, I'm just never that kind of guy. But all of a sudden, like, when I'm driving, when I stop, I'm like,
oh yeah,
dude,
yeah.
It like shocks me. So
PTSD, man.
I was just gonna say, bro, you must have had that, or you must have that. I mean, for something as chaotic and crazy like that to happen to you, that's some real stuff, man.
I think anybody who's been in an accident has got a little bit of PTSD. But I think touring in a band, chances are that you're wearing a seatbelt are very slim. You're on a bench seat. I mean, we everybody on tour, I think, knows just about one band that's crashed in some way, shape, or form. Some people have lost band members. Some people have just injuries. Like, you never know. But yeah, let's see. The second tour we did as Devil You Know was with Lacuna Coil in the States, and our bandwagon broke down outside of Thunder Bay, Canada. So we had to do the rest of the tour in a van, and that was the first time back touring in a van.
Really?
In the snow.
10 years.
Yeah. Bleeding Through had done... No, we hadn't done our final tour. So that was one of the first times back in a van touring we did the last 2 weeks, and man, I had to sit up. I had to sit shotgun. I had to have a seatbelt on, like sweating bullets, just nervous.
That's crazy.
It was super shitty, but tour, I guess.
You got to make it through, man, and you obviously did. With Light the Torch, I feel like it's more of a metal band. Obviously, you guys are really riffing it and doing your thing. What other freedoms or differences do you feel like that you have with Light the Torch as compared to Bleeding Through?
With that's a good question. There's quite a bit of difference. So with Bleeding Through is much darker.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, we went more and more black metal, more synth, more blast beat, less hardcore, more metal. And we kind of made a conscious effort. I remember we knew we weren't going to be a radio band. It just wasn't our style. We did a few songs that were singy. We have singing in it. I think it's kind of funny. People make fun of Bleeding Through. Now they got singing on their record. Literally, Dust to Ashes, before Portrait of the Goddess, the first record, has singing on it. And I just never understood why people would make fun of it. And we obviously didn't listen to it. But yeah, we kind of made a conscious effort, especially after Declaration. Like, the songs just got heavier. We didn't care. We weren't trying to be a radio band. The possibility of the band getting bigger, like, we had our heyday. Like, you can only be a band so many times. Like, the biggest bands in the world can keep putting out records and they still want to hear just the hits. They don't want to hear your record you put out in 2013 when you're a band from the 70s. Like, the older you get, the more they want to hear. Kids want to hear the first couple records.
Yeah.
But
even though your guys' other stuff is great, people do want to hear what they remember.
Oh yeah, totally. They want to
that's
hear Love Lost. They want to hear the songs that they remember when they first got into it. Your first two records, for the most part, I mean, there's some bands that don't get big till like their third or fourth, but most of the time when a band gets big, all their old stuff up to the record that made them big is like what everyone wants to hear. But we made a conscious effort to be a little more black metal synth style and just kind of do whatever came to our heads. And then with Light the Torch, it's like we do a little bit of everything. There's down tuning, there's songs that are all singing, there's songs that are all screaming. Like, it all works, and we put a bit of everything so it all evens out. But Light the Torch is much more of like rock metal as opposed to Bleeding Through being more of like a darker metal band. So I get to do a little bit of both. If Light the Torch playing for too long and the songs are a little too melodic, there's always going to be a time where I'm going to get to go play with Bleeding Through. And then when it's like, try hearing blast beats, man, then I know that when I go into a Light the Torch, it's like it's completely different. So fulfillment wise, I get to play two different kinds of music, and they're both in the wheelhouse that I like to do. So it's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. And I mean, dude, hearing Howard Jones, over any kind of metal is just great to me. I think he has the most amazing voice.
Oh yeah,
I love what he's got going on.
Blood Has Been Shed Days is insane.
Oh, for sure. Spirals, bro, that's my jam right there.
Yeah. And Bleeding Through did Hellfest 2003.
Oof.
And Blood Has Been Shed played that as well. I think Howard had to fly in from Ozfest or something. I can't remember. But I remember seeing him play on that. I saw Blood Has Been Shed play a couple times. One at South by Southwest in Texas years and years ago.
I never got to see them play. You're lucky, dude.
It was awesome.
That's crazy. So in April 2014, the debut album, The Beauty of Destruction, comes out. Great album. It's got 7 Years Alone on it. 7 Years Alone. Mm-hmm. You have the producer Zeus. Mm-hmm. How'd you like working with him?
I didn't. That's right when I got hired.
Okay.
To be I was a hired gun at the very beginning when I am an original member.
Uh-huh.
But at the very beginning, I was just hired. Me and the other guitar player, Roy, at the time. We were hired on... The record was already done, and then they were looking for band members. As Devil You Know, I was just a hired gun. And as soon as they finished the second record with Devil You Know is right when I got asked to be a member of the band.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. Like, those guys were kind of like doing that thing. Like you said, you came in as a hired gun, or they're like, hey, we can't give you the music. Like, because it's like the two guys that are really like the core started it. Excuse me. Like,
the original drummer and Francesco were the two guys that started the band as Devil You Know and wrote all the stuff. And then they contacted Howard to see if he was interested, and then he wrote all the lyrics. So the band was a band before I joined it. It was recorded. I just became someone because I became the bass player because I could sing as well. So they needed someone to do all the backing vocals that were on the record. Got the gig, toured for it was like 2 years, something like that, and then I got the offer to be the full time. But that's kind of how it went. You got 2 guys that are writing the music, Howard. So it's a 3-member band, and then they outsourced. A lot of bands you see, even the front man who you think is like the leader of the band.
Not at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
Like,
but don't at the same time, don't not put yourself over, man. Like, you fucking are, you rock out. You know what I mean? You got it going on. You can sing. You play bass. Like, it's not, they didn't draw your name out of a hat.
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
I got the gig fair and square. I mean,
things are different, like, because you know, these aren't the kids that grew up around the corner from you that you've known since you were 17, 18, 19. Oh yeah, you know, it's
I'd
different.
Known Howard kind of.
We're professionals.
I had never met Francesco. I'd never met the drummer John at the time. I'd never met any of them. I had known Howard briefly, like we knew each other, say hi, but we weren't like good friends or anything. So it was, I mean, I auditioned. There were other people that auditioned. I got a phone call. I actually ran into a guy that said he auditioned for the band after I had already gotten the gig, like at a Subway.
No.
I mean, who knows? I want to say that he...
It was me.
I want to say that he played... I could be talking out my ass, but I think he played bass for Death by Stereo.
Really?
After, before, or during when he was auditioning. I could be totally talking shit. I don't know. But for some reason, I was working at a job at the time, and I was at lunch with my boss, and he was asking me about it. And the guy turns around, he's like, I auditioned for that band too, man. Like, no way, small world. So, I mean, I don't think he'd be lying. So
no, that's crazy. And you guys put that out through Nuclear Blast. How do you guys like them? I mean, that's different. They're huge in Europe. They're fucking metal as fuck. You know what I mean?
So far, so good, man. They've been really good to us.
They have a machine.
Yeah,
they're a machine.
It's they were pretty nervous when we changed our name, told them what was going on, because that's the death of a band. Like,
oh yeah,
you change your name, it doesn't matter how long you've been together. People just won't get it. Like, there are some people who follow along, like, without a hiccup, and they know exactly what's going on. And there are people that all it takes is to not post anything on social media for a month, and they think you broke up. Like, I remember back in the day, you'd leave go on tour in Europe, and you just wouldn't be relevant in the States for like 2 months. And people were like, where the hell's this band? Why aren't they touring? And be like, they're on tour right now. Go online and look at their tour dates. They're playing every day.
Yeah.
Just because they're not in your town, coming in town in a month or something, that's they're not thinking about you anymore. So that's why you constantly have to stay on tour.
They haven't made an IG post in 2 days, man. They must have broke up.
That's the world we live in now.
R.I.P. Okay, and then do you guys have They Bleed Red, an album in 2015? It's got The Way We Die, Stay of Execution. What was doing that like? What was that album for you?
That was...
I mean, it wasn't political, but I feel like it has that...
That was right after that record was finished is when they asked me to be a member of the band. I came to the studio a handful of times, but it was more along the lines of crunch time, and we just got to get this thing done. They did offer if I wanted to do, but I think I was working at the time. I was still just a hired gun. So when you're a hired gun, you only get paid to play on tour, and that's it. So you're a 1099.
Cool.
Yeah, you're a gig worker.
Yeah.
A lot of musicians are gig workers. That's the whole pandemic screwed everything up. But I would pretty much just kind of like hang out there. I didn't really have a big part to do with that record either. And then while I was there one of the days, we were at the producer's house. He has a studio in his backyard in the garage, and I was just hanging out, and that's when they asked me if I wanted to be like a full-time member of the band. So it
was like a mob thing. You had to put the card on your hand and burn it.
I mean, I had to sign contracts.
There you go. That's the same thing, huh?
That's their version of blood.
For sure. And like you were talking about earlier, they have to change the name. You guys go from Devil You Know to Light the Torch. That was because of the previous drummers. I don't know what you can and can't go into.
I'll just say what I can.
Yeah.
So we're Devil You Know. We're on tour. We get an offer to do a headlining tour directly into 2 back-to-back Hatebreed Devil Driver tours. And we say yes, of course. We're on tour with Atreyu and Cold Chamber at the time.
What a lineup.
Yeah. And it's Cold Chamber, Fear Factory, us and Atreyu, I think. Or... No, that was 2 different tours. Jesus Christ. There was a Atreyu tour, and then there was a Fear Factory Cold Chamber tour. That's what it was. We were on one of those tours, and we were in a van. It was a short tour, and a drummer at the time. He had to go back to Australia to work. He had some friends he working on like a TV show or something, production, and we weren't making a ton of money at the time. We're just like it's interesting. You see bands on tour, you see them on the internet, you see pictures. Like most of those dudes, unless it's a money-making band, like they all have jobs. They all go home. A lot of the times they make less than the average person, or they make that decision to tour and they don't get married, or like there's certain things. It depends on how you live your life.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to live a life a certain way so you can afford to tour, and other people have more interests, and this is what I want to do. And
fucking rebel, dude.
I don't know about that.
Living it, man. Pushing
living the dream.
Living the dream, brother.
But, I don't even know where the fuck I was going with that. What was that?
Changing the name. The guy.
Yeah. So he went back to Australia, and we get the offer for the States tour. He already knows he has to be back by a certain time. Doesn't make it back, so we get a fill-in drummer at the time, which was our friend John, who used to play drums for Devil Driver.
Mm-hmm.
And he filled in for the headliner, but he had to be somewhere else after the headliner, so we need to get another fill-in. But we're telling our original drummer he's got to be back in time. Long story short, doesn't work out. Dude's nowhere to be found. We can't emails, like we just can't. So we move on. And we get Nick, who used to play for Trivium, to fill in for us for a while.
Sick.
And we literally just were like, hey, we have to keep going as a band, so get back to us when you can. Toured. And then it just got to the point where we just decided if we're going to do this, we need to move on.
Yeah.
We need answers right now. And then it got to the point we want to change the name. If you want to change your name, you got to have people sign paperwork. Everyone has to agree. So we decided to change the name instead. And we changed the sound. We wanted to like purposely make it a point. Okay, you've been playing heavy metal your whole life. I'm interested in doing this for the rest of my life. I don't want to... There's certain compromises you can make. I don't want to write I don't want to play in songs that I don't like, but you got to compromise a little bit. Thankfully, the way we compromise, we're super stoked on it. But we basically changed the name out of necessity, and it ended up working to our advantage, and we just kind of hit the ground running. It was all kind of like a legal dispute, and it ended up working in our favor really well.
Fuck yeah.
I remember we were almost finished with the record, and we didn't have a name yet. And, yeah.
How'd that come about?
We were going over names, going over, our LLC corporation names of what we could do and all this stuff, and kind of light the torch. So, with starting as a new band, or as a new name, you're starting as a new band. Like, people, it's a completely different sound, so we can't even use, like, Devil You Know as like formerly known as, but it's a completely different band, just the same members.
That's sick, dude.
It was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was nerve-wracking. I mean, it was like, are we self-sabotaging ourselves? How long is this do-over gonna last? It may not pick up. Like, you never know.
Other bands might crumble for that kind of stuff.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, thankfully we hadn't been a band for that very long. We only had 2 records out, and we hadn't done a ton of tours. But if that was a band that had been successful and it'd been really hard. But record label was behind us. Once they heard the music, they were really stoked on it, and it was starting over from scratch. It was fucking nerve-wracking.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, you guys come up with some crazy stuff, because 2018, the Revival album comes out. The sound is different, but like I wrote that down, and obviously that's because we're a new band now. This is new. Yep. We're different. We're gonna switch it up. That's cool, man. That's badass. I think there's some crazy stuff on there, and I wrote that down that the sound is different, but like that's so cool that like now I get that background story of like the reason why.
Yeah.
You guys took it from scratch.
We made a conscious decision to write songs differently. Francesco fucking is a writing genius. That dude just writes the coolest, catchiest stuff, and he'll just like, oh, I have an idea, and he sends us an email of a demo, and I mean, he went to school for this stuff. I mean, the demos that he sends me, like, hey, what do you think about this riff? I think it kind of sounds like, and it's like synth. He's played the bass on it. He's played both guitars. Like, it's fucking crazy. And you're like, oh, that's an idea? You mean a finished song? Like, he's like, well, I gotta tweak this, and I'm just like thinking, like, these are better than some of the shit that I hear that people give us back when people used to hand you physical demos. And it's like, you know, nothing against them, but it's just like, this is your demo? Like, this is some kid's, like, dream album.
Yeah.
But he's just, like, scratch ideas.
That's crazy.
So having him in the band, that guy's a writing machine. I've never been a huge, strong writer. I've always, you know, bass player. I'll play what you need me to. I have my shining moments, but yeah, he just go from writing Devil You Know stuff to writing Light the Torch stuff in just like a couple months. Just like make a conscious effort to change it. We didn't want to like just go, well, what's catchy?
Yeah.
We wanted to write something that's catchy, but still like a perfect example would be like God I Deserve.
Mm-hmm.
That's the prime example of like we wanted to stay heavy, but we wanted to write stuff that's melodic. And it just turns out that Howard came to the studio with vocal ideas that were almost all singing. And we kind of had a feeling we wanted to do that. It'd be really cool if like, most of the songs had no screaming in it, just to see what would happen. And sure enough, like from day one, we've been on the same page. And being in the studio is just really, it's a really easy flow state. Working with the producers, and it's been awesome.
That's cool, man. As things are getting along, going great for you, like you say, then all of a sudden, this pandemic hits, you know? How have things really changed up for you since then because of the band? You know, obviously you just released Wilting the Light, but prior to that, it's kind of been, you know, it's quiet because everybody had to be quiet. What was it like for you?
So...
and for the band?
So we finished this new record in just about January, February-ish. Finished the drums down in San Diego. I mean, we're like a couple weeks away from leaving for tour with Killswitch. We almost decide that we're going to wait and finish the drums till after the tour, or finish whatever after the tour, but we decide let's just do it. We all go down to San Diego and we stay there for the weekend, and we get drums done. Record's wrapped up. It's done. Thank you. Signed, sealed. Now we're just waiting for mixes and mastering, which took a while. So we're done. There's nothing we can do. Francesco's working on artwork and stuff like that. He did all the artwork for the album.
God, that guy can do everything.
Dude's a machine, man. That guy impresses me. I have so much respect for that guy. He's next level. It's like one of those guys where like you explain, he figures it out. Just like, oh, here's how you do something. And you just need to show him how it's done, and then he picks up and just goes. Dude learned how to do like programs on computers, like graphic programs and design programs and everything. Where is they going with that?
You do the things with the drums. You're about to go on tour.
Yeah.
Pandemic.
So the start of the pandemic. So see what I mean? I trail off. So we all agree we're done. We decided to finish everything. So now we fly out our fill-in drummer at the time, and we're getting ready to leave for this tour. We have all of our gear is in a different state, and we fly there. Bandwagon picks us up, and we go into a venue in Nashville for pre-production. We do a day of rehearsals as set up like we would live, and this is the first time we've gotten to practice with each other and all that. So rehearsal. Next day, tour starts. We play one show, play a second show, then we have a day off. On that day off, this is March. I left my house March 8th. March 11th, we knew the tour was over. I have our tour manager gets us flights home that night. I mean, he killed it immediately. My flight's in the morning, the next morning. Get a ride to the airport. And my first flight to Chicago, I get to Chicago, and then flights are canceled. Sitting around, and I'm like, this is when stuff's starting to get bad. Like, people had started hearing about like coronavirus, and like, I mean, some people paying attention since like November of the previous year, but
definitely not me.
January, I'm so oblivious. So January rolls around. We're in the mix of the record. We know stuff's going on, but we don't know how bad it is. But we leave for tour, and my girlfriend's telling me, like, oh yeah, just reading the news, and, you know, listening to this, and things are starting to shut down. And you talk to your parents, or text them, like, yeah, have you seen all the shutdowns? They're crazy. And then we hear, as the tour starts, Seattle cancels. Okay, Portland cancels. Okay, well now we have a big gap between Canada to San Francisco, so there's already days, and it gets to the point where so many shows start getting canceled that you can't afford to stay on the road.
No.
You have to play every day to make money. So
we're not going to drive everywhere for 6 shows.
We can't wait around a week at a time to play one show at the end of the week somewhere, and it potentially could get canceled the day before. So you're just starting to catch wind of everything. Then we get the phone call, tour's over. So we're like, motherfucker. And this is a first for everybody. So tour manager gets us all our flights home, crew flight home, our crew that loads our gear to the rehearsal the practice or the storage space that we have out in the other state, and we all go home. I finally get my connecting flight from Chicago. I get home, and even just landing in LAX, it's already weird. I try to get an Uber home, and I have my bass gear, like my rolling. It's a double case.
Yeah.
So you have to find a vehicle that's big enough to put it in there. So I have to get like an Uber XL, and everyone's already got like the plexiglass up and like wearing gloves. And I'm coming home, leaving for tour where no one's wearing masks. Then you come home, and all the Uber and Lyft protocols are in order.
You better have that mask on. Is what
Things
they're
are
saying.
starting to shut down. I get home on the 12th, and what was it, the 13th or 14th of March? Everything shut down, and it was for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that just kept going and going and going, and man, it was so this is the longest I've ever been home since I graduated high school. Now it's like tenfold. And then the longest I was ever home was like 6 months. And that was during like the double years. But yeah, it's been a weird year. We were told as soon as all the shutdown started, we get a group call with management, and they're just like, no clue what's going on. Nobody does. CDC doesn't know what's going on. We know the virus, this and that, and all the speculations start coming out, and we're pretty much told within the first couple weeks that just be prepared to probably not tour for all of 2020. And it was March.
Damn.
Yeah. So, you just start thinking like, okay, well, the only way you really make money is touring. So that's why bands tour so much. I mean, it's the way you make money, and we can't tour. So we're like, well, what the fuck do we do? Thankfully, we had recorded a record, with digital media, sound exchange and stuff like that, and like so many people I know were going on unemployment because almost everyone I knew that was working a job, that was it.
Oh yeah.
And since I knew for a fact we weren't going on tour, I didn't have anything going on. For me, 2020 was just kind of like, okay, well, what do I want to do? So I have a shit ton of different hobbies, and I just kind of it's the first time in my life that I haven't like had to think about music. Like the record was done. There's no writing. Like everything's out of our hands.
Wow.
I'm not doing the album artwork. That's Francesco, so he's working on that. So it was kind of just like just hang out, hurry up and wait. It was weird. But the pandemic, basically, for people who weren't working for like a month or two or longer or whatever, like it's kind of like being in a band. You go and you work, but then when tour's over and you go home, that's it. Like you have your own personal life before you leave. So I'm used to having like a couple weeks to a month free between tours. Mm-hmm. But like after like a few months, it was just like, holy shit, like this just keeps going. It was so weird. Everyone I talked to were like, this is so weird. Can't believe. And then there were the rumors going around, oh yeah, maybe by December they're gonna start touring again, like all the pipe dream bullshit.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't have any speculations either. I had no conspiracy theories. I'm just kind of like, whatever. I don't know what to believe these days. There's so much false information that I was kind of like, I'm skeptical about everything, and I'll just kind of like see how it goes.
Yep.
So,
play it by ear.
Wear your mask when you go into a store, and eat your food at home. And
yeah.
It's been over a year now. It's fucking crazy, man.
That's crazy. What kind of hobbies have you been getting into? I know you like hunting, like you said.
I like to hunt.
Multimedia.
I like to fish. I paint a lot. I do. It's called Hell America Customs. It's a custom painting. Like, I do sign painting. I do a little bit of leather tooling. I paint motorcycles. Paint guitars. Anything. I like I like do a lot of like framework, like sign painting, reverse glass gold leafing for like barbershop signs, window signs, stuff like that. So I had plenty of time to do that. Hunting, fish. I made it for dove season this year. Limited out for my first time.
I see you guys go fishing a lot too. Oh, that's like your thing, huh?
Yeah, I like to. I've always really liked fishing, but the past like 2 years especially, I've gotten really into trout fishing, hiking into places and do like real small stream.
That's
fishing
cool.
Where you can't just drive up to. Like I'll go up to Kern River, and there's an area up there. There's all these mountains up there. They're all connected by surface roads with these dirt road spurs that go like 20 miles. And you just don't see anyone for days. And even as long as you're above a certain elevation, you can have dispersed fires wherever you want. You can just camp wherever you want. So we'll hike in, camp. If we're in an area like squirrel hunting or dove or quail or something like that. And then where I live, we're only 30 minutes to a national forest from right here. So there's deer hunting right down the road.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it because you're in Orange County. But
I love it.
That's what and then I surf a lot, but yeah, mainly fishing this year. There's been a lot of places I've checked out. So I used 2020 was my break from playing music and just exploring more California.
Learn to love, what you love again. You know what I mean? Finding out what you can do.
I mean,
you haven't been home in fucking forever.
I'm never home for the summers.
Yeah.
If I am, it's not, for the exact time I want. It's hard to book backpacking trips. Getting permits, like this year I got to backpack in Yosemite the first week it reopened after being closed for months. Me and my buddy who set up the trip, we saw a couple people in the valley and that was it. I think we saw 2 other people out on the trails the entire time. We backpacked up like 10,000 feet, fish, caught a shit ton of fish. I never have time to do that, and it was in July, so the weather was perfect.
Nice.
It's too hot to hike out here in the trails in the summertime. There's no water out there, so you got to bring
gallons.
Yeah, I mean, I got to bring a gallon of water with me if I go hike in and camp for the night. Just to have my dog with me and cooking food. Like,
oh yeah,
it takes at least a gallon of water just to go a couple miles because it's so damn hot out there. So, yeah, I just hung out. It was awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
That's cool, man.
Everyone was worried and stressing out, and I just kind of I was real mellow. Just save my money and get all this stuff that was free, man. Just camping, fishing, hunting, hanging out, barbecuing.
That's sick,
really
bro.
Only hanging out with my immediate family and girlfriend and like 1 or 2 close friends. That's it, really.
Low key.
Oh yeah, did a lot of stuff to the house. Me and my girlfriend fixed up a lot of stuff.
That's dope, man.
Home improvement. Worked on my garden.
It's popping. You got it going on, baby. You got it going on.
I was at home long enough to grow broccoli.
Oh, damn. You was really out here.
Yeah, shows you how long I've been home.
There you go, man. That's dope. What can you tell us about the new album, You'll Be the Death of Me?
It's called You'll Be the Death of Me.
Oh, okay.
Album cover's blue.
There you go.
There's songs on it.
All right. You're blowing me away here.
Hey, man. Too much information. So the release the announcement was on for Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And it came out with a music video for Wilting the Light.
That was a sweet ass video too,
Thank
dude.
you. That was fun.
We got the same light right here behind us.
It was like a whole bunch of nothing all year, and then boom, 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 boom. You got photo shoots. You got this. The next weekend you got video shoot. Yeah, Howard's flying out. We're getting other people flying out, and this is happening. And then it just goes radio silence again. Like it's the whole like.
Hurry up and wait.
It's any job. Like if you need something from them,
mm-hmm.
It takes a minute. But if they need something from you, it is email after email. Like it's go time. So it went from hanging out all summer to like, oh shit, yeah, we played in a band, forgot about this, and things are starting to pick back up. So yeah, we recorded the video. We have that song coming out. We've got some surprises coming up before the album releases,
mm-hmm.
and there's some raffle stuff going on in the works with the label and through our socials and stuff like that. And record comes out June 25th. There's pre-order. All on the internet.
Nuclear Blast, baby.
Nuclear
Get
Blast. They got some really cool merch options.
Yeah, you guys
they
do.
They got fucking socks and sweatpants.
The armbands.
I want the sweatpants, man.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
You got everything.
Yeah, night pants.
There you go.
But Yeah, and I'm pretty stoked. This Francesco did the layout for the vinyl as well, and we're getting a lot of cool colors, like splatter, like pink and blue splatter, blue and white splatter.
Give me something different.
Like,
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think there's 3 or 4 different options for the vinyl, depending on where you buy it, and they're all limited. So it's cool. It's fine. It took forever. Like we'd been talking about like, hey, when you want to do the podcast, I'm like, there's so much I want to talk about, but there's just nothing to talk about I can yet.
Yeah.
So finally, when we hooked back up and I had gotten the email, you messaged me, and then literally hours before that, we got the email saying like, hey, this is what's happening, and then the release date up. So it worked out perfect, just a couple days after the release.
Hell yeah, man, that's cool.
Yeah, I haven't done. This is the first interviews I've done starting. Howard gets a lot of them, but yeah. So this is like just like the calm before it all.
That's crazy. Well, I know you guys are gonna be able to tour off it. You know, I think things are opening up. So when things happen, what's the like? Do you have like a ritual or anything that you do before you play? Anything crazy like that?
Now it's stretching.
Yeah. There you go.
Almost 40.
Yeah.
Still young, but I don't feel it anymore. Dude, 2020 was interesting. A lot of people, like Francesco hurt his back.
God, you haven't had to play a show in over a year.
Oh yeah, our last show is in March 10th. March 10th.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it was on the Killswitch tour. That got postponed to I think around September. And then we have a couple festivals that we got booked for, and they're all on the East Coast. So, and there's one in Alabama. So that's pretty much it's starting to pick back up, but I think it's going to be a lot of uphill. I think I can going on, and venues will sell out too quick, and they'll need to push them. And I know some people's a friend of mine, he's playing drums in a band. He used to play drums for Walls Jericho, Dustin. I was watching his Instagram the other day, but he's got tour dates with that band that he's doing with Corey.
Tour dates?
Yeah. And their shows are getting sold out quick, so they're like bumping them to outside venues. So
cool.
I think there'll be a lot of that going on, a lot of juggling. But because there's been no live shows, I think it's going to be the exact opposite of when things really can go back to pretty much normal. I think entertainment's going to be like people are going to blow their money, and like
I can't wait.
They just want to have fun. They're talking about it's like post-war, the rip-roaring 20s. As soon as you're done with people being, I hate to use the word oppressed, but like post-war, everyone is happy, things are done, you go out. So I think this people being stuck inside and COVID and everything, people just want to socialize. They're scared to what you think, vaccine, non-vaccine, but I think once things calm down and either vaccinations go up or just whatever, herd mentality, whatever you believe in, doesn't matter. I don't care, I don't want to hear about it. But when it goes back to normal, or whatever that normal will be, everyone says when things go back to normal, what you think is normal will never be the normal.
Never.
It won't be anymore. There will be people who will wear masks outdoors.
Oh, for sure.
For the rest of their lives, because they're just terrified. You do you, man. Like, do what you gotta do.
To each their own, man. Let me do me.
So,
I'm gonna let you do you, brother.
I think after all this is quote unquote done, I think the entertainment will thrive because it hurt it so bad. I think the exact opposite's gonna happen. It's just gonna be tours just booked nonstop. Venues are gonna book shows every night. It's just gonna be back to like when you're in high school. You could show up to Chain Reaction. I would show up and not even know if my friends would be there, but I know the band was playing, so I would know people there. And you just show up and there's a show every damn night.
Hell yeah!
I think it might go back to that.
That's sick.
I can only hope.
Hey man,
Yeah.
I'm hoping for it. I know I can't wait to see you guys when you go play any show. If it's on tour, if it's just some random one-off, I'm gonna be there for it. I'm super excited. And I just wanted to thank you so much for your time, man. Thank you for coming on here. Where can people follow you on social media? Any shout-outs? Obviously, I want to tell everyone to pick up You Will Be the Death of Me June 25th on Nuclear Blast. And then get merch, get everything you can. And when tours open up, come see them. But where can people follow you?
This is the big record, so this is the one that makes or breaks us as a band.
Let's go!
I would like to continue doing this for a living, and I have a lot of things I like to do outside the band, but doing the band enables me to do them. So I like to travel. I still like to play shows. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else still.
Yeah.
Socials, Light the Torch on Instagram. And then I personally, my only social I have is my Instagram. It's Womby_Hill America.
Mm-hmm.
You just type my full name in there or whatever. But I post, the management label always asks us to post like personal stuff, what's going on. So I post a lot of like my camping and related stuff like that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, and then when I paint, I'm always posting that. And then as soon as I leave for tour, it just turns into tour shenanigans. And I'm not a very serious person, so I don't take myself seriously. So basically, it's me being an idiot, entertaining myself, and if I manage to make people laugh, then cool. If not, I'm doing it for myself anyways, so keep myself entertained.
Well, I love following you, man. You do all the stuff that you're talking about. You show it. You know what I mean? And it ain't too much. It's just, hey, look at me. I'm, camping here, shooting here.
Yeah, some things we keep personal, but
yeah, of course.
I know everyone wants to know what band. I mean, I still like watching tour DVDs of like what bands do on tour. That Black Dahlia Murder DVD, I think's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like when what was I saying? I just passed a clip the other day, like Bart on his skateboard with the plastic swords. Like, we do that kind of shit all the time, but I will still find watching people's tour DVDs entertaining, even though it's exactly what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone has different rituals. Everyone, like, light the torch, goes camping on our days off. And we go fishing and hiking. Like, we don't want to be near any cities. So, I mean, you just keep busy, and hopefully we'll be back out on the road, and I don't know, it still interests me, and everyone's stoked to see some shows, so we're waiting around, just ready to go.
I'm ready, man. I know I'll be there, so I want to thank you so much, man. Ryan
Thank
Wombacher of Light the Torch and Bleeding Through, thank you so much. And if you like what you're watching, then hop in the Koffin. Follow us on social media at Koffin Radio. Koffin is spelled with a K. And that's all for today.